not at all miserable people, because we are here to discuss NXT No Mercy, and nobody is miserable after that show, except maybe Tiffany Stratton and maybe Dom Mysterio. But holy shit. All right, maybe jump into conclusions here, but I think that we had maybe quite possibly match of the year for the WWE company. I just had to get that out. Welcome to this NXT No Mercy recap Hollywood Heels podcast. I'm the rock star. I'm the Renaissance man, the Duke Russo, and I am joined by none other than the divine voice himself, Henron. Dude, was that a hot take?
No, as far as WWE is concerned, and as far as an in-ring performance is concerned, I mean, up to now, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would beat it. We've had some ones that are close, and they've involved both of these gentlemen. So you might be hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean I think this is unquestioned the singles match of the year, and the only matches that, like, for me were comparable were Jimmy and Jay beating Roman and Solo, and KO and Sammy winning the tag titles. To me, those were those three matches, including, in case you haven't figured out what we're referring to, is Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes. I think those are the three matches of the year so far for WWE. Obviously, only one of those is singles, and I'm still, out of the other two, I'm still going to give it to Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes. Entering this PLE, Ilya Dragunov was unquestioned my favorite NXT wrestler, and he may have emerged as my favorite wrestler right now, period.
Yeah, he put on a hell of a performance, and he does what he always does. He goes hard, he goes out to impress, and he does his job. And I mean, if he continues what he's doing right now, that's a long career, and he just does no wrong.
No, he does not. So just to quickly go over the match card that we had here, No Mercy is coming from Bakersfield, California. We had a pre-show match between Blair Davenport and Kalani Jordan. Blair Davenport picks up the win. We had the Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin as the first official match of the pay-per-view, PLE, sorry. Baron Corbin hits Braun Breaker with End of Days after a distraction to pick up the win in this one. We had the North American title on the line with champion Dom Mysterio defending against Trick Williams with a guest referee of Dragon Lee. And new North American champion Trick Willie takes the victory after essentially pinning Dom 3 times. We had the tag title match. We had the family defending with Tony D'Angelo and Stax with the challengers of the Creed brothers, OTM, and Angel and Humberto. I think they have a tag team, Los Lusarios, I don't know, something like that. I feel like I heard them say at some point. I don't recall. After looking like it would have to be Stax finishing this match alone, the family defends their titles and remain champs. After that, we had the Heritage Cup match with the current cup holder, Noam Dar, defending against Butch. We'll delve into this more when we get to this match, but the match rules for this match are too convoluted for me. Ultimately, Noam Dar successfully gets 2 out of 3 pins to retain the cup. Then we had the banger, Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes for the NXT Championship, and new, as if it was destined, Ilya Dragunov defeats Melo in my personal match of the year. And then the main event, which was a high-pressure main event to have to follow that match. We had Tiffany Stratton challenging Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's Championship in an Extreme Rules match, which basically was a no DQ match, but the pinfall had to occur in the ring. And still champion Becky Lynch retains after bouncing Tiff's head off of a pile of chairs with a manhandle slam. This was one hell of a PLE for NXT.
Yeah, it was a hell of a show. I'm glad, we got a women's main event. They put a lot of hype on that. Tiffany came out to perform tonight. Man, they really gave them a lot. No slouch to really anybody on this show. I'll get into my details into each of the matches here this evening, but really, really good overall show that we had today.
Yes, it was. Realistically, the first match, the pre-show match, to be completely honest, I didn't catch all of. I came in about halfway through it. But it wasn't really a long match, and to be honest, neither of these two women do a whole lot for me in the ring, Kalani Jordan or Blair Davenport. Kalani Jordan tries to hit this like split-legged moonsault where she like tries to get up the ropes by bouncing up them like Tiff does in her Prettiest Moonsault, but it's just awkward and it comes across lame instead of impressive. Blair Davenport wins, but really what we needed to know happened after the match. Gigi Dolan shows up. She goes after Blair Davenport. And then later in the night, we get announced that this will be the match on this coming Tuesday's NXT of Gigi Dolan versus Blair Davenport. What do you have to say about this one?
So I actually missed the pre-show. I actually was unable to even catch the show live. I tried to rewatch it and it still hasn't shown up on Peacock for me. I actually watched the show in Espanol. So we have a very interesting review that I got going on here. Yeah, I watched the entire thing in Spanish. So all I caught was the main show in Spanish.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, your notes are going to be real interesting here. But honestly, thankfully, there were little to no segments. And it was just pure action nonstop. So like we get into the show with the badass old school No Mercy video game intros. Dude, these really did it for me.
Man, it really did. Like I literally have No Mercy in my closet. I was like, oh my God, dude, I want to go bust that thing out right now. It looks just like it. Diggity dog. Just the music, the character, the fact that they did it for every match as well. And they had all of the wrestlers and then their characters and then they made them look like shitty, like how the game actually looked back in the day. It was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the vibe from it. I was expecting them to like, because they dropped this image before. I don't know if it was on Twitter or maybe they teased it in either like SmackDown or the Go Home NXT. One of them. They did it, and I was expecting it for just like. I kind of consider them the two main events. I know that it wasn't billed that way. They went out of their way to make sure it was announced and billed as Becky and Tiff were the main event, which, like you said, it was nice to see, especially in the NXT, a women's match main eventing a PLE with other serious matches in it. So I understand what they were going for there, but it just felt like two main events. So I expected it to be for Dragunov and Melo and then Tiff and Beck, but I wasn't expecting the entire show to have everybody done in that way, and I thought it was a really nice touch.
100%, very cute. I wish they did more stuff like that, but then it's hard to say exactly what they could do it like, because I didn't play, Raw versus SmackDown 2007. I think that's like another hype one, but like I didn't play that one, so like I wouldn't know what that looked like. But I don't know. This just gave the show a tone, and I don't know. It felt good.
Yeah, I dug it. And we got right into our straight into our first match, which I was surprised that this was our first match, which, you know, with how built up it was, the fact that it's one of the top guys in NXT versus a guy that's been one of the top guys on the main roster. I was actually really surprised that this is how we opened the show, but it was a pretty good match. You know, Baron Corbin versus Braun Breaker. Baron Corbin made his entrance on a custom chopper, which I had a couple chuckles at. I've ridden two wheels for a long time myself, and I was like, yeah, those like long fork choppers, they don't turn very well at slow speeds and in tight areas, and I was like, that's gonna suck. And then yeah, he definitely had a ginger time making it around the ring with that thing. I didn't feel like the ring circle was really necessary, to be honest. It took them a long ass time to even get in the ring to ring the bell. But yeah, I'll let you go through the match. But ultimately, you know, we ended up with Mr. Stone coming out, distracting Braun Breaker, and allowing Baron Corbin to hit the end of days to get the pin. What do you got here?
Yes, and so that I'd like to start off with Braun Breaker coming out with the big wolf head on, where my dog's at, roof, you know, as he comes out. And all I can think of was, I think it was Deontay Wilder. Didn't he come out with like a giant animal thing on it? And he complained that it was so heavy that it weighed him down, and that's why he lost the fight. I was like, we all know Braun's going to win, but I'm just thinking, like, if he loses, there's your excuse right there, buddy.
Too heavy.
Exactly. And then we had Corbin coming out on his motorcycle, and I'm like, kid, you're not the Undertaker. You can't do that. I did notice when he was, you know, struggling to get around the ring and basically walking this thing, not driving it. Number one, what's up with that exhaust? I feel like if I'm in the front row, I don't like that. I didn't sign up for this. Number two, as he's going around, I'm like, there's no stairs. I'm like, where the stairs go, which we see in a little bit, but I'm like, where'd the stairs go? Like they just moved the stairs. Like, what happened? And then it looks like he had a nice fresh shave, because he looked super bald. Like his head was gleaming, so he had to get that nice and shiny for the pay-per-view, you know, to get things set up. But the match didn't even start. You know, Corbin, he had to go and park his motorcycle. Like you mentioned, it took a while, you know, before we got things going. But he'd go park his motorcycle and make sure that it's okay. And I was like, that's going to come into play in the match later. That's what I told myself. And I was stupid for thinking so. But out of nowhere, Braun Breaker over the top rope just, you know, flip dives onto Corbin and completely annihilates this man. And he got some air on that. You know, Breaker's not, you know, like a high flyer that we know of, but extremely athletic. And that's a tone that we see from a lot of these younger athletes. Austin Theory, we see the Creed brothers later. These kids are just extremely athletic. It's crazy. So I'm very excited for the potential of what we're going to see from this young talent. But this was a fun little match here as we get back into things. After, you know, Breaker kind of regains himself and they're still on the outside, there's two security guards just hanging out by the ringside, and I don't know why they were there. They immediately Breaker threw Corbin over the barricade, and they went right by them. So they clearly weren't trying to stop them from getting out into the audience. We get, you know, some audience fighting as they make the loop around and get back to the ringside. And then the security guards are now at the other end, and they're just standing there. And I'm like, why are you here? And then Breaker just knocks him out. And I'm like, okay, like, I guess that's what that was for, but it's just weird. There was no purpose for them to be out here, but they were. But we finally, you know, get into the ring after Corbin had hit him with a clothesline, and, you know, to finally start the match. But before we actually started the match, there was another little portion here where we saw where those stairs went. Corbin actually put Breaker on the table, and Corbin climbed said steps to get the senton, you know, to the prone Breaker, who's just laying on the table. But he rolls out the way, and, you know, Corbin just eats the table. And then they're both back in the ring for the match to actually finally begin. There was a tone by Breaker. He was kind of pumping himself up, jacking himself up. The guy's on the juice, man. I'm not really saying that he is, but he was juiced up, just, like in random moments of the match, like he just was doing that. And that's something that we kind of see playing into the finish as well. But we had some nice moves here. Breaker is able to get a fireman's carry onto Corbin and hits a big lung blower onto Corbin. Interesting move. I'm not the hugest fan of that, but not something you see every day. So that was nice. They are fighting up top. Breaker gets pushed off and he sprints back up to the top rope for the big Frankensteiner, which was great. He then picks him up into the overhead press slam for a 2 count. That was great as well. Corbin gained a little bit of momentum. He hits a big Death Valley driver for a 2 count, and then he catches him into this deep 6 where I swear he spun this man around 6 times. And there was just so much momentum from Breaker. He was probably going to go flying out of the ring. It looked like he literally had to have been caught by Corbin, and he was able to move that momentum into a spin to save the guy's life because they were so close to the ropes as well. Even if he slammed him, he would have slammed him down into the ropes. So he was able to, pull him back into the middle. But he added at least a rotation and a half than he normally does on the deep 6. But that was very, very beautiful. And not the first time it would have been that Corbin has saved somebody on a move like that. But after that, Breaker is able to get some control. He hits a clothesline, sending Corbin to the outside. And Corbin's just standing next to the announce table. Crazy Breaker, badass Breaker charging in at him. Corbin counters this into a big choke slam right through the announce table, and both men are just lying down. And at this point, Braun Breaker just sits up like the Undertaker. And then this is when he's just flexing and screaming, and he's on the juice right here. He gets up, hits the spear on the outside, gets back into the ring with Homeboy, takes the straps down, and he breaks it. It's breaking time. And out of nowhere, Senor Stone coming from the top, he tries to go for the crossbody onto Braun Breaker, but he catches him, throws him onto the top of a pile of security guards that are randomly out there as well. End of days, EOD out of nowhere, and we get the 1, 2, 3, and Corbin wins. I was actually surprised that Corbin won, but maybe it was the heavy ring gear that slowed Breaker down.
It might have been. I wasn't like super impressed with this match. I'm also just not the biggest Corbin fan. He's had his moments, and I mean the dude's gone through probably more character changes than I think I've seen anybody go through. Maybe except for like LA Knight at this point. But yeah, I'm not like the biggest fan of him, but these two paired really well together. Braun Breaker is obviously like one of the top talents in NXT, and they're both super powerful. Baron Corbin, being a former NFL player himself, can go toe to toe with Braun Breaker as far as power goes. Corbin's significantly taller, but Braun Breaker is just fucking jacked, dude. So he always makes it look really impressive. We had a moment like before the match started, and while they were tussling on the outside and it spilled onto the announce table, it caused some issues where we lost commentary for a while, and we basically just dealt with like the ring audio. And I was like, I kind of like this. I kind of like there being like little to no commentary. So I don't know, because you were listening to the Spanish one, I don't know if you had any of the same things, but like apparently they fucked up some cables when they were on the announce table. So we lost Book and I don't even remember who was with Book for a while, and it was just silence. And then they come back saying, oh yeah, we had technical difficulties. And then it happened again when Corbin sent Breaker through the announce table, which, yeah, him sitting up like Undertaker, there were several Undertaker references in this match, but we lost commentary again for a little bit at that point. And like, I don't know, this might be a thing for me. I think I might want to see some matches with zero commentary and literally just listen to the audio of the match.
Yeah, they definitely had no technical errors on the Spanish broadcast because it all came through. and there was not a pause in that. But we can never forget, man. You can't put the slouch on Corbin. He did retire 2 Olympic gold medalists, and he was the last person to pin Roman Reigns, so of course you.
Not anymore. Jey Uso pinned him. He's the last person to pin him in a singles match.
There you go.
And yes, he did end the career of Kurt Angle, which is sad, but I think really Kurt Angle ended the career of Kurt Angle, let's be honest. I still haven't watched that Kurt Angle documentary on Peacock yet. I need to.
Yeah, I'm not a big documentary person. I should sit down and watch all that stuff, but I don't know. It's just a bit much for me sometimes.
Yeah, it can be. I don't know. I'll watch it at some point, let you know. So after this match, we had our North American Championship match. Trick Willie versus Dirty Dom with guest referee Dragon Lee. Dom's black eye was looking extra spicy for this match. It's starting to turn from the purple to the nasty yellow, and it was huge. And there were a couple moments where it looked like Trick just straight up smacked him in that exact spot. That must have sucked for Dom. Ultimately, Trick pins Dom 3 times. There were 2 ref bumps in this. Ref bumps are literally like my least favorite thing in the entire business. I don't know why they annoy the shit out of me, but they just do, and I'm never happy about them. I can understand it a little bit more when it's a guest ref who's also a performer, Dragon Lee getting super kicked in the face. All right, that stuff, because it builds to something. But when some a random dude, some of these refs are been here for a hot minute, but when it's somebody that doesn't, I don't know. I just don't like ref bumps. But yeah, Trick basically pinned Dom 3 times. Finally, the 3rd time, Dragon Lee was there to do the 3 count. And surprisingly, Dragon Lee called a very fair down the middle match, despite the fact that Dom quick counted him when Dom was his guest referee. So how'd you feel about this match?
Yeah, I felt that Dragon Lee was basically a non-factor. It literally could have been any ref in there because he literally acted just like any ref. I don't know what happens when you wear the stripes. That just makes you a little bit more fragile. But it just happens every single time. But I'll jump to the start. And it was nice that Dragon wore a nice little black and white mask to match his ref outfit. I love small notes like that. And it starts off with Dom being Dom. He gets whooped a little bit by a Trick. He gets out the ring. He says, "Give me my belt. I'm going to go home." And why would they give him the belt? If you know what he's going to do with that, he's either going to cheat or he's going to leave because he wants the disqualification so he doesn't lose the belt. So if you're over there, why would you give him his belt back? No, go fight. I feel like that should partly be your job as whoever the hell's in the corner holding his crap. I didn't see him, get aggressive or, punk him or anything. He just said, "Oh, give me it back." And he just gave it to him. No, fool. Get your ass back in the ring. And I kind of felt that at some points in this match, especially when, Dom started to regain control and he was just grinding out a headlock in the middle of the ring or a chokehold or whatever. We can't have that on PLEs. Those shouldn't be allowed. It just felt like a basic Raw or SmackDown match. And I get it, Trick Williams, he's not the most experienced person, so you can't go out there and, go balls to the wall every second. But we shouldn't have this. And I guess it maybe plays into Dom's character, because he's a heel and you don't want to like him. So, of course, he's going to do that to slow things down because that's going to gain him the advantage. But it just kind of killed the experience for me a little bit in this match. And I was really hyped for this. It's Trick Willie. I'm very excited to, see Trick Willie go off. But we just get constant disrespect from Dom as well. At one point, he throws his gum at Dragon Lee, which was nice. He then eats a fat leg lariat for his trouble, for disrespecting Dragon Lee right there. And then there was this one nice little reverse 619 when Trick just ended up sitting down in the ropes with his back to the outside, and he eats the 619 to the back of the neck. Pretty nasty. I don't think I've ever seen that variation like that before. And then right after that, Dom is trying to, put him down with the super kick, but Trick dodges and he super kicks Dragon Lee, knocking him out the ring. And Dragon Lee is just dead. He's not moving at all. He's completely passed out. And I get it. It's a super kick, and it's a good move, and you might get a 2 count, but you're a wrestler. If you would normally have taken that, you'd be back up already. Because he's a ref, oh yeah, nah, his career's over off of that hit. But eventually we get a new ref that randomly runs in there, which also doesn't happen. Like sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Maybe because he was a guest referee, they had the actual ref just there waiting in backup. I don't know. But we get a nice little Super Saiyan mode from Trick Willie here. He gets some rapid fire chops in the corner. He hits the big flapjack, hits a kip up, and then hits the Trouble in Paradise. I don't know if they're calling it something differently because, again, I didn't have English. So I don't know if they're calling it something differently, but he does hit that for a nice little 2 count right there. And then, eventually Dom, regains control. He hits a headbutt, slow things down. Eventually Dom pushes this other ref, sends them both out the ring. And as you mentioned, anytime Trick did try to get a pinfall, somehow a ref wasn't really in there until finally, Trick goes outside. He wakes up Dragon Lee. While he's doing that, Dom went and he got his title once again. He tries to go for the hit. Trick dodges, comes back, and hits him with just 2 giant knees, assumingly hitting the title into the face of Dom to actually finally get the 3 count and win the match for the belt.
Yes, sir, and new. And I'm not sad about Dom's reign coming to an end at all. And I'm also not sad about it being Trick Willie either. I really like Trick. To me, if the Street Profits Bobby Lashley thing doesn't work out, then, Trick and Mello are 2 easy inserts that Bobby Lashley, I'm sure, would love to take on. So for this brief moment, we have both of them being champions. Obviously, it didn't last long. But one funny thing on commentary that you probably didn't get to hear is Booker was so conflicted about who he was actually rooting for. Usually Book, we'll dig into the heel side a little bit. So he's on Dom's, but he's also a huge Trick Williams fan. So it was it didn't sound like he knew what he wanted to happen in this match. But obviously he's thrilled with Trick Willie coming away from it. But yeah, the ref bumps. This match, coming off of what was easily Dom's best performance ever against Dragon Lee, this match to me did feel like a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I feel like it's probably just due to a little bit of lack of experience on Trick Williams' side, because I believe he's a little bit newer, but it wasn't too bad. It could have been a lot better. I'd say maybe another year, and we can expect a lot more consistency out of Mr. Williams.
Yep, and he's going to get his opportunity to defend that title, hopefully more than once. After this, we had our tag title match. We had the family, Tony D'Angelo and Stax, defending against the Creed brothers and OTM and Angel and Humberto. I just want to say, I don't really like the format of these 4 tag team matches when there's only 2 legal men and 4 tag teams, because it gets really hard to follow who's legal, and it's just a lot. You know what I mean? Either have 4 legal men or just don't have a 4 tag team match, because it's just a pain in the ass to figure out who's actually in. And this is twice in a row now that WWE has had me when I thought that knee injuries were legitimate and they weren't. They had me on Tony D'Angelo's knee injury, and they had me on Bianca Belair's knee injury. Both of them, I was like, oh shit, that's real. Like they're fucked. And in both cases, I was wrong. You know, we have to go back to good old Shane O'Mac blowing out his quad in the middle of WrestleMania to go back to an injury that we're all like, oh wow, that's real, and it turned out it was real. Or if you want to go back even a little bit further to that, when Boogs blew out his knee, not too terribly long ago, R.I.P. Boogs' career. But yeah, I was totally got in this moment. I thought it was real. And then one thing I want to say before I let you take this over is like, dude, Creed Brothers have really grown on me. And out of all of the tag teams that are currently in NXT, they're the ones that I feel like could bring the most to the main roster right now.
Yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't know why they haven't been moved up yet. Some people were speculating that loser leaves town match was going to be when they moved him up, and didn't they get drafted? I thought they.
I don't remember them getting drafted, but there have been several people that were drafted that literally never made a fucking appearance.
Yeah, but they were amazing. Probably the highlights of the match for me. But I'll just jump right into it from the start. And first off, Los Lotharios, I believe, is what their name is.
That's it.
I completely forgot about it until you had mentioned it as well. And I thought, I don't know Spanish, right? I thought that meant like the lovers. And I'm like, they're bad guys now. So I don't know if maybe they, don't want to run by that name. I feel like they need a new name if that is your name, or maybe we'll see how they spin it. But they got new tattoos. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they're in remembrance of their father, their uncle, or whoever it is, and somehow resembling that. But if you're going to get matching tattoos, they should go the same direction. One of them was like vertical. The other one was like diagonal, basically horizontal, and it just didn't look right. Should have been, and they're probably just stickers. So like you definitely could have adjusted that or put it on there properly. But I'm not a backstage person. I'm not in that. We did have the intros, and OTM came out on their little tricked out bicycles, which was cute. I felt the entrances were kind of long when they came out as well. But yeah, this was just kind of hard to keep up with who was illegal. I figure you might as well make these things just like a fatal 4-way where like 4 people can be in at the same time, or make it like a table or just a stipulation match where we can just have everybody fighting, because that's all we're going to get anyways.
Especially with the titles on the line, because like, let's say the family is in, they have no reason to tag. I mean, aside from what happened of like, Tony D'Angelo ended up getting hurt and then Stax being in there by himself, they would have no reason to tag anybody else in, because if OTM pins Creed Brothers, they lose the title. So why the fuck would they tag anybody in? It made no sense,
Yeah, it was a bit much, but it was a fun match nonetheless. These big, 4-ways always are, and I feel like that's what they're relegating with this tag division. Let's keep these multi-man matches. Let's keep different people involved, because I feel like there hasn't been like a lot of story with the family and Tony D. They won the titles, great, people were happy, but they've been planning this dinner, and then we had this 4-way, and I really haven't seen too much story with them, but we'll see. OTM is fun. They could do some nice little stomps. That homeboy gets in there. Julius hits a giant flip off the top rope to the outside. That was crazy. We finally get Tony D getting Stax getting Tony D in. They do some arm drag, just throwing Stax into some opponents who are sitting down in the corner. And then here we get Tony D picking up 2 individuals. I don't know what he was looking for, like a double Northern Lights or a double flapjack or something. And he struggles and his right knee buckles and he goes down. And They had me too, bro. I thought this was legit. As I mentioned, I didn't catch this live. So I literally immediately went online, Tony D knee, like, is this guy okay? And then I immediately got the match spoiled for me. So I was like, okay, whatever. So that was, don't Google if you watch things late, guys, or you'll end up like me. But
dude, Twitter is the enemy sometimes.
yeah, but it was nice what they did there. We get a nice little move by OTM where the guy's hanging in the ropes and he's just sitting on him and they're just kind of putting the hand bouncing up and down. I guess that's part of their repertoire that they got, added in their little moves. We do get some random outside action. Ivy Nile randomly drop kick scripts. So we're probably going to get some OTM versus Creed Brothers action here going in the future. But then we get Beast Mode Brutus takes the straps down after knocking everybody down, going on a little bit of a rampage, and then he gets the ankle lock. I love that he takes the straps down and then he grabs an ankle lock. I get that's like a Kurt Angle thing, but usually you're about to hit some rowdy suplex or something. You're not just going to grab a man's ankle. But we do get some rowdy suplexes because to defend his brother, in comes Julius Creed, and he just starts chucking fools with these overhead belly-to-belly suplexes. Belly to belly, he's on his back, he hits a kip up, no hands. Belly to belly, hits a kip up, no hands. Back to back to back to back on like 6 fools, and then 2 guys get in and he hits a double Northern Light suplex and then kips up one more time, just cheering on his brother until everybody finally gets back, breaks this up, and then we just get a big 8-way or 7-way melee. And the quote unquote bad guy teams, Los Lotharios and OTM, are just beating down Stacks. They're just taking turns demolishing this man until we get Tony D limping his way back out from the back. Officials trying to stop him, and he headbutts the official, so that way he could limp his way on down. Basically starts beating everybody up on one leg. At one point, I think it was Umberto, he tries to do a springboard and he catches him in a spear and then puts him down into a spine buster. I'm calling it a spear buster. It was fucking great. Eventually everybody gets into a corner. We get a 4-corner superplex from each corner from all the teams hitting each other. And the ref is just standing in the middle yelling at everybody. And I'm like, you're just playing the odds, brother. You're just hoping that nobody's feet hit you in the head because you can't move in any direction without potentially getting too close to somebody else. But at this point, OTM is kind of gaining the advantage. They hit a pop-up power slam to Tony D, and then, they're not able to get that. They only get a 2 count. The Creeds get in there. They got him up in the Doomsday device looking for the Brutus bomb, but they end up hitting a Doomsday drop kick by Umberto. And then, Brutus comes in there. Eventually, after everybody gets sent outside, Brutus jumps and hits the pile. Just a giant cannonball, I guess a Brutus bomb off the top onto the pile. Wild. But we got Lucian Price, who's left in the ring all alone with the family. He eats the finish 1, 2, 3, and still your tag team champion, Tony D and Stacks.
Yeah, and Creed Brothers were definitely the MVPs of that. They had all of the highlight moments as far as I'm concerned, of like the really good ones. The Brutus ball at the end was a banger. Dude, that double Northern Lights into the kip up, like at that moment, I was like, okay, Creed Brothers are winning it. They may not get the pin or the submission here, but like they're winning this match. And then they didn't. Also loved when Ivy Nile absolutely demolished Scripps while Scripps was on the stairs. Big Ivy Nile fan as well. But yeah, this was a good match, but again, like the only 2 legal men thing, it's just too much to try to follow, and it's like confusing. There was one point that Booker T said that was the first ever quadruple superplex that he's ever seen, and I find that really hard to believe considering how long this man has been in the business, and when he was part of the business in a much rowdier time than now. I was like, don't lie to me, man. You've definitely seen that before, and you've probably participated in one before. But yeah, not a bad match by any means. Just again, the formatting I wasn't the biggest fan of.
I hate that style, but it was very fun. I don't think that these men are done with each other. Because obviously OTM is the one that got pinned, so they're definitely looking for their revenge. But they also had that beef with the Creeds, so I feel like we might end up seeing another multi-man match here in the future.
Maybe, but I would say that if there was any alliance in that match, it was between the family and the Creed brothers. When Tony D was out, it looked like Stax was looking to the Creed brothers for help. So maybe we get another big match, or maybe we just get, Creed brothers OTM or family OTM or something like that. They did end up announcing a bunch of upcoming NXT matches, and I don't recall them being a part of any of them. And I mean, I don't know how long they're going to play this Tony D knee injury thing either. So it'll be interesting where we go from here on this one.
Yeah. Hopefully they give us some more background stuff, because even in this division, we got the Creed brothers who really should be moving on by now. We got these people who were in the match, but I don't know. Los Lotharios is meh, and OTM, they're up and comers, but I don't. What are the other people in the tag division? Not Briggs and Jensen. They don't deserve to be in the title picture. Hank and Tank don't deserve to be in the title picture. Who the hell else can we care about down here?
Yeah, I don't know if, maybe if Noam Dar finally loses the goddamn cup, we get like Noam Dar or Mensa or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see Noam Dar get involved in something as well. We also got Gallus Boys on Top, so I could see them getting mixed up, and potentially what we get a taste of, from the next match here, we might get some British strong style action. Maybe we'll see them in the tag division.
That could be interesting for sure. A little reunion there. After this, we get the backstage segment, a Trick showing Mello his brand new shiny toy. Mello is super hype. But the night ain't over. They still need one more dub. And then we get another quick backstage shot of NXT, the man herself, loading up a shopping cart with plenty of toys for her upcoming match. We see things, like kendo stick, trash can lid, plenty of objects for her to use. And in this moment, I thought to myself of Beck has been here before. She's seen these types of matches. She has that brutality down in her somewhere. She ain't afraid to bleed. We've seen it before. We've seen the broken nose before. But pretty Tiffany Stratton has not. And so in this moment, I was feeling pretty good about Becky winning just because of her familiarity and being able to dig into that brutality. And the fact that she already knew. She knew to load up that shopping cart. She knows what the rules are, or the lack thereof. So, the spicy, experienced veteran knows how to tip this match in her favor, and we get a little glimpse of that. And then we end up in the Butch Noam Dar Heritage Cup match. These match rules are dumb. They're too complicated. They're too convoluted. I don't even fully fucking understand what they are. If you want to make it a 2 out of 3 falls match, make it a goddamn 2 out of 3 falls match. Get rid of the rounds and all the nonsense surrounding them. I don't know how you feel about it. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, and I mentioned previously before, I'm not a big fan. I guess I do like that they have this as a change-up. It's something different, it makes, a different taste on what we normally see. It does provide a showcase to the NXT UK division, and I'm glad they gave them something, since they just took their TV show away. I'm glad they gave them something. But yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit convoluted. But it was a fun little match that we had going on here today.
Yeah, I just don't like it. No matter how you slice it, it comes down to 2 out of 3 falls. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter if it's 4 rounds. It doesn't matter if it's 6 rounds. Like, it comes down to 2 out of 3 falls. So just make it a fucking 2 out of 3 falls match. That's my thing with it, is like, it just, the round portion doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I for sure feel you. And I feel like maybe there's some type of history that I might be unaware of with this type of rounds, or maybe this is something that they used to do in British wrestling or something along those lines. But I'm uneducated, and I just like, to see my people fighting from bell to bell, not bell to bell to bell to bell to bell. I don't watch a lot of boxing. I don't watch a lot of UFC, so I'm watching WWE.
I don't really watch a whole lot of MMA. I do watch some boxing, and still, it doesn't make me any more excited for it, because at the end of the day, it's not like, so in boxing, like, you win rounds even if there's not a knockout in a round. Like, there's split decisions, but like, usually it'll come down to so and so won this round, so and so won that round. And in this format, there's no winner of a round. You either got pinned the round or you didn't get pinned in the round. And the rounds where nobody gets pinned, there's no winner of that round. So that's another reason to me why it doesn't make sense. But I digress. Take it away on the match.
Yeah, and what we did see getting into the match was a little taste, as mentioned before, with some British strong style action. Evidently, Butch asked for a corner man, just a little bit of backup, knowing that Metaphor was going to be out there alongside Noam Dar. He asked for his old homeboy, Tyler Bate, to come out there with him, and we see that play into potential future storylines at the end of the match. But it's nice to see them back together. It's nice to see that younger picture. I think Butch looks exactly the same, and Tyler Bate, I don't know. I guess he's enjoying his long hair, but I was a fan of the short hair Tyler Bate. But regardless, as we get right into the match, Butch is just doing Butch things, going for wrist control, going for fingers, going for everything that he can get in there. And in the first round, we don't have any points, but after the bell, Noam Dar hits a back elbow. So already trying to cheat and get the upper hand. As we get into the next round, Noam Dar starts off quick, trying to take advantage of that back elbow that he dropped on him earlier. Eventually, we get to the outside on the apron, and we get a draping, or we get brought back into the ring. Noam Dar is holding him in position for a draping DDT, but the ref is counting when normally anybody else would hit the draping DDT. He kind of just lets him go. Butch catches himself, but he's still hanging in the rope, so he's only supported by his hands, and Noam Dar just kicks him in the face. I thought that was really cute. But that just pissed off Butch, who came back. He came back hard, and he hit 3 giant kicks into the corner onto Noam Dar, drops the double stomps on his hands before putting them on the apron for the 10 beats. As he's getting the 10 beats, Noam Dar ends up rolling away. The ref's not looking, and we get Ora Mensah to sneak in there to get a little kick before Noam Dar is able to hit his kick and is able to get the 1-2-3 to get the first point of the match. The next round, a little bit of a back and forth. We end up getting a bitter end finish by Butch for the 1-2-3. Now they're tied 1-1. And getting into the next round, Butch is just going in. He's just forearms and punches and just taking Dar down like they're just watching this man. Like if this was in UFC, they would have called the match off, because it literally was that bad. Like, it was quite a while that he was just going in on this man. He eventually hits a nasty X-plex where he just throws this man, does the full follow through to the ground, gets some big chops in here. I wouldn't say he had chops of the night. Again, those come later, but very good chops thrown in here. Noam Dar does end up getting a nice brain buster, catching him in a triangle, but Butch is able to hold on right until after the bell rings, and he actually passes out. Noam Dar actually passes out right as the bell rings, when it could have been a point for Butch, but he missed out on that. Dar gets just dragged into the corner by Lash Legend, I believe, just his lifeless body. And as we get into the next match, Butch just starts whooping this man's ass again. Chop, kick, slap, chop, just beating the hell out of this man. Eventually, Noam Dar catches his leg, spins into a beautiful back elbow, which was really nice. We do then get a superplex from Butch, and then we get a 20-second count as we get to the end of the round, and Butch is trying to break the hands, and as the bell ring, Butch steps on his wrist after the bell, getting a little bit of payback for what he did earlier. Right as we get into the start of this next round, Mensah cheats. He gets a little sneak kick in there. Noam Dar is trying to take advantage. I believe he takes the mouthpiece out of the mouth of Butch for an even more impactful strike as he gets a big kick, but is only gets a 2 count on that one. The crowd's stunned. Tyler Bate takes out Ora Mensah at this point. Butch hits the Tyler Driver 97, stealing his friend's move. He tries to get the bitter end. It gets countered into a knee bar. He then rolls through on the knee bar into his little finger hold, only to turn that into a bitter end. 1, 2, but he kicks out. That could have been the cup. That could have been the win for Butch. But on the outside, we see Tyler Bate getting attacked by Gallus, by Wolfgang, and Joe or Mark Coffey, I believe. I get him confused, honestly. And then as we get back into the ring, Joe Coffey hits the giant clothesline on Butch. Noam Dar sneaks in for the pinfall victory. 1, 2, 3, and he retains the Heritage Cup.
Yeah, this was aside from the pre-match show, this was like the worst match of the night for me. I like Butch. Noam Dar doesn't really do a whole lot for me. And like, when the fuck is the last time this dude wrestled? Like, we've been dealing with this Heritage Cup build-up for a while now. And like, I don't remember the last time I've seen the dude in the ring. It feels like months at this point. So if you're gonna wrestle once every 3 months like Roman Reigns, perform like Roman Reigns, and Noam Dar does not. I think his character's kind of lame. I'm really not a fan of the dude. I would have liked to have seen Butch win, but at the same time, I want to see more Butch on the main roster with Brawling Brutes being like him and Ridge being a legitimate tag team force. So no, don't fucking stick him with the cup and just like, bury him in NXT. So, I mean, this was the outcome that I wanted, just for the sake of being able to continue to see Butch more on the main roster than have to deal with this shit instead. But again, I hold no love for Noam Dar really in my heart, or really anybody in the meta, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him tour with the Heritage Cup on SmackDown. Maybe we could have seen that on SmackDown, and that could have been a nice little change up on there. Give him a little bit more publicity and hype him up as a bigger star. But I guess we'll just continue to see whatever the hell they do with it. Maybe we'll get, and I believe he's teaming with Tyler Bate now, so I don't know where Ridge is. I feel like if you had, like, I'd like to see a 3-way. This should have just been a 3-way between, the Gallus trio, Tyler Bate, Butch, and Ridge. I feel like that's a cute little match.
Yeah, that could be interesting. I definitely would. I don't know what the plans are in the main roster, but I mean, if they want to have Tyler Bate join them, I'd be all for that. I was going to hold off on getting into this conversation until the next match, but this would probably be an appropriate time as well. One of my biggest complaints with the WWE as a company is they take too long to bring people up, because you've got guys like Ilya Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes, guys like Tyler Bate that are in their literal physical prime right now, and they're showcasing it to a crowd of like 200 people in NXT. Obviously bigger at the PLEs, but at the Performance Center, I don't know what the capacity is, but it ain't a whole lot. And by the time they bring these dudes up, look at LA Knight. LA Knight is 40 years old. Now, I love LA Knight, But the thing is, he's 40 years old. His body's beaten down more. Like, really, the only dude that they've done this with in recent memory is Austin Theory. Austin Theory is one of these young dudes that is in his physical prime, and they did bring him up. And you know what? We didn't really like him at first, but the dude's growing on me. They're letting him figure it out on the main stage. Whereas you got guys in Ilya Dragunov and Carmelo Hayes that don't need to figure shit out. They're both already gold on a microphone, gold in the ring, and you're literally wasting these dudes' physical prime in your lesser show. And that really, really, really bothers me. Like, do you seriously want to sit here and watch the fucking Miz in a match over having somebody like Ilya Dragunov up on the main roster? Like, this is rant over, but like, that's my biggest critique of the WWE right now.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you. And I mean, we've already talked about the Creed brothers who should have been moved up by now. Tyler Bate, who's been down here longer than Butch was down here. And he should have been moved up a long time ago. They brought Butch back. A lot of these people have been down here for so long. And, that's why I don't want to say maybe that's why they're not bigger stars. But I mean, if you don't give people the opportunity, if you don't give them the time to shine, how can you expect them to?
Yeah, and it's not like they're not ready. And as we see in this next match, they are ready. So let's get to it. My personal match of the year, Ilya Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes. Dude, I was so excited for this match. I didn't write a single note during this match because I didn't want to. I wanted to watch the match and absorb it all in its most pure form. And I am so glad that I did because I was so thrilled with this match. I loved every single second of it. There were so many great moments. There was so much storytelling. There was so much selling by both of these guys of like, there could have been a pinfall at any moment. They were great with dramatic kickouts. It was one of these matches that you see in a WrestleMania or something like that, where these two guys give each other every single move out of their respective libraries, and they still manage to kick out. I don't know how many H-bombs that Carmelo Hayes had to eat before Dragunov finally hits one from the top rope to put him down for good and fulfill this man's destiny with gold. Dude, I loved this match. There's nothing else I can say.
Yeah, I didn't take too many notes on this one either because honestly, a lot of the match was just strike here, strike there. They beat the hell out of each other. They put each other through the ringer, and we see it at the end of the show as well when Melo was talking to Trick and he's backstage and his chest is just beat red. This was an amazing match. So much back and forth. Two competitors who are, it feels that they're very well fitted for each other. They push each other, and starting right from the entrance, I loved how, not necessarily Elias, but when Melo's coming out and they're showing basically all the other jerseys of the other people that, he's put down as he's come in here, he's hung their jerseys up. And they're playing voiceovers of each of his former promos as he was talking about these opponents. The West, don't go chasing waterfalls. He's saying, the rivers and streams that you're used to. And, we see Eli's name up there twice. You know what I'm saying? So Melo's coming out here looking to put him down for the third time. And we kind of could have predicted where this was going, especially with the storyline with Trick Willie. But man, Dragunov is just a house of fire. That guy has no chill in him ever at all. I feel like he probably has a lot of road rage. That guy just seems like he's intense at all times. I don't even want to handshake with that guy. He's probably one of those overly firm grippers. That's who he comes across to me as. Me. But he's just he's just beating the hell out of this guy, chopping him, slapping him, kicking him. And finally, he sends this guy out of the ring and tells Melo, "This is my ring," yelling at Melo, who's on the outside. Finally, we do get some fight back from Melo, after he eats some rapid fire chops, Dragunov calls him out, basically telling, what are you going to do? Can you bring anything to me? He gets some good strikes in, but Dragunov puts him down with just a backhand. He just backhands the man, and he's relentless. Melo can't catch his breath. He falls into the ropes, and Dragunov is just forearming him, chopping him in the back of the neck, in the upper back. He just won't let this man go. Oh my goodness. Eventually, Melo does, get back. He gets Dragunov in the corner and gets some good hits and gets some chops of his own. And one of the chops that Melo threw echoed throughout the building. And I mean, there were some strikes in this battle, and Melo isn't known for necessarily being the striker. That's obviously Dragunov's forte. But throw that chop in there. That was one of the top chops that we saw this weekend. This week, if we're even throwing in Raw in there, and Drew's big chop that he had on there as well. But the crowd is going wild as well. They're just screaming at the top of their lungs, alternating chants for Dragunov, for Melo, and and I don't really know necessarily what's going on as well. From when they played the Spanish announce feed, they actually just played over everything. So in the background, you can hear the faint English. You can hear the normal things being spoken. You don't hear the announce team, but you can hear the crowd. But since it's got like the overlay of the Spanish announce, everything is kind of muffled in the background. So it's a little harder to hear everything, but can still make out, when people are yelling at each other in the ring, telling them to step the fuck up. But we get some crazy moves here, where eventually, Melo hits a springboard into like a forward DDT, which was disgusting. We eventually get some Germans by Dragunov that he just won't let go. And he Germans him again, only to, finally eat an elbow. And then we get this weird Carmelo runs off the ropes, does the whole little person flips you up into the tilt-a-whirl, into like the tiaras, which is like the head takeover. But he like continues to flip through into like another DDT. I don't know. That shit was amazing. Eventually Dragunov gets him up for a power bomb, and he just throws the guy. He just fucking chucks him. Eventually, Melo is able to hit a code breaker. But that code breaker gets caught. You thought he hit it nice and clean, but no, he catches him, picks the man up, throws him on his shoulder for the nasty Death Valley driver, just rolling right into the turnbuckle, just head, neck jammed into the mat, spine jammed into the turnbuckle. And then he goes up top, and Dragunov hits the coast to coast, hitting the drop kick as well. Melo's trying to run, trying to get off. He ends up sitting on the rope, gets smacked off, and we get an outside in. Melo's on the apron, Dragunov is in the ropes. Outside in, basically a deadlift superplex, because Melo's dead weight standing on the apron, and Dragunov pulls him up from the ropes for just a giant superplex. Eventually, we do get some action from Melo. He does eventually get a code breaker, and he hits his own little forearm. Is that what the H-bomb is, the finish from Dragunov? Again, I don't know what they were saying over there. H-bomb. But he tries to, okay, so he tries to hit it himself. That doesn't work. We get a second rope H-bomb from Dragunov this time down to Melo, and he kicks out. We do get him in the corner, Dragunov lining him up, going for his headbutt. Was that Torpedo Moscow or something like that? Only to eat a super kick from Melo. We get another 2 count. We then get some fighting out on the apron. Both men are, crawling, fighting, slapping, kicking each other, fighting each other, trying to get to their feet as they pull their way up with the ropes on the outside of the apron, only for Melo to basically hit a suplex into a cutter to the outside. Kind of sloppy, but even the Spanish announce team called that one out for me. I was able to make that one out. We do get back inside. We get a giant clothesline from Dragunov. He goes up to the top rope, very top this time, for the giant forearm, the H-bomb. Melo's dead. 1, 2, 3, nuevo campeone de NXT. We have a new champion here, folks, and we got a little bit of sportsmanship after the match.
Yeah, they honor each other. it was destiny, man. Dude, there were so many amazing moments in this match. So something that I'd really like to credit the production and camera crew with. So on that deadlift superplex, like the angle that they had it from, with the cameraman being on the ground and then Mello being on the apron, and then Dragunov being essentially on top of the second rope turnbuckle and just muscling Mello up like from that lower angle was so impactful. Also, we want to talk about, so let's go back to the Trick Willie match of like, yeah, there were some moments where like Trick Willie isn't the most experienced dude in ring. So like there were some kind of man moments in there just based on that. Whereas you look at this match, so dude, that springboard DDT, it was, even commentary said that it was supposed to be a springboard DDT, except because of where Dragunov was, they had to change it to a bulldog in midair because of the positioning. Like, again, these two dudes are so ready to be dude, imagine if this was like, if this was a main event. I know that's a bit of a stretch, but just entertain me. Imagine this was a main event at one of the WWE main roster PLEs in front of 40,000 people minimum. This match would have been insane with the crowd. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, these two were phenomenal. This match was phenomenal. If this is not a 5-star match, I don't know what is. Yes, I know there was that one little sloppy moment on the outside. It happens. But the reality is, they delivered so much. Everything was believable. We even had a little bit of blood from Dragunov's forehead. I didn't even know when exactly that happened. Dude, this was the definition of a banger.
Yeah, this match was wild. It was great. It was intense. And I think that this will be one of those matches that you remember. And we're going to look down the road 5 years from now when Mello and Dragunov are finally both up on the main roster and they somehow end up in the same atmosphere. And we're like, oh, shit, forgot what those two could do.
Yeah, maybe they will main event a WrestleMania in a couple years. Who knows? But again, my biggest gripe, they need to bring people up while they're still in their physical prime, because we don't know what the future holds. I don't know what these two men's bodies hold. I don't know if anybody's dealing with injuries or injuries get worse. And then, thankfully Seth got his chances when he was younger, but like Seth's got back issues now. So, Seth's around my age, and I think Dragunov and Hayes are like late 20s. So what if they wait another year to bring them up, and then by then, somebody's starting to deal with issues, and then we basically had their best moments on the NXT stage when they were essentially robbed because they should be on the main WWE stage, and that's really disappointing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. They are kind of wasting, unfortunately, I don't want to say it like that, but it does seem that way. They're just kind of wasting some people's time, some of their prime, some of their opportunities, because we all know, not everything is guaranteed, unfortunately.
Yep. So we move on from a match of the year. We get a quick little thing about the NXT Women's Breakout Tournament. It looks like some of the participants are going to be Lola Vice, Jakar Jackson, Kalani Jordan, Danny Palmer, Ariana Grace, Izzy Dame. I'm trying to see who else I see in here. I know that I'm missing some. Carmen, Jada Parker. That might be everybody. And then this is where they announced that we will be getting the Gigi Dolan, Blair Davenport match, as well as Butch and Tyler Bate will have a match together. Honestly, dude, like, I don't really know very many of these women in the Breakouts tournament. You got anything on it?
No, I'm calling Lola Vice to be the winner of that women's breakout tournament. I believe there's the is it Kalani Jordan maybe? I think we know her. She was on the pre-show, right?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed. Lola Vice is the one out of all of these that I'm the most familiar with. So I mean that's my gut as well. But like I don't really know these people.
Yeah, I think she's gonna take it. The only other person on there we saw was somebody recently had a squash match on NXT. I forget one of their names, but a lot of them I've never seen wrestle, nor have I ever heard their name. So interested to see. You know, I assume these are all just developmental performance center talent, not any names that have come from the indie scene. So probably lesser experience, but let's see, we get some potential for some new attitudes, new faces, and some new moves.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's why it's a breakout tournament, because we don't know who the fuck they are. Maybe we will. So on to our main event, an Extreme Rules match between the man, Big Time Becky Lynch versus Tiffany Stratton. Some fun things as this match starts. Stratton came out wearing brass knuckles by the time she got into the ring, except she was wearing them wrong. She was wearing them backwards. The ref had to correct her and let her know how they appropriately go on one's hands. And Becky makes her entrance, and then when she sees the brass knuckles, she immediately is like, you know what, hang on. I forgot something. She goes back and she brings out her shopping cart full of everything. And that set the tone for this. This was a really fun match. I would say on most nights, this would be match of the night if we didn't just have one of the most incredible banger matches that we've seen in quite some time. I would say that this could easily be match of the night most nights. However, not when we had Carmelo Hayes and Ilya Dragunov. What do you got on this match?
I really like this match. You know what I'm saying? If Ilya and them didn't have such a banger, this would have been my match of the night, and I still kind of want to give it to them because I was expecting a hardcore match. I was expecting, and I guess my expectations were kind of tapered a little bit after the Strat match, and I was expecting a lot more from that, and I was like, oh, maybe they're not going to give him too much, but it is a PLE, it was Becky, and they surprised me. I really enjoyed this.
But before we get in the match, I have a question for you, actually.
Yes.
Was it me, or was Tiff's ring attire a little more cheekier than usual?
Yeah, and then she had all the pearls and stuff on there. There was a certain aesthetic that I felt that she may have been going for, but I don't know if that's necessarily what she was after, right? But yeah, that was definitely a thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I was like, I mean, it's her fairly usual type of ring attire, but I just felt like there was a little bit more exposure than we usually get from a standard NXT show. I don't know if the ratings on the PLEs are any different. I don't know if it's like PG-13 as opposed to PG or whatever, but she definitely took advantage of that if that was the case.
Yeah, she definitely did if that's the case. But as we get right into it, and as you mentioned, it starts off with Beck coming out with her little shopping cart. I love the cute little segment earlier when she was backstage shopping. But Tiff, why would you get out of the ring with her and she has all those weapons? Like, no, you wait for her to come in the ring. She has to come in the ring. Like, this. So whatever. As soon as she got out the ring, she got fucked up. She ate a kendo stick, she ate the trash can lid, she ate a chair, and she looked dumb. Becky tries to headbutt her with a little construction hat. I thought that was a cute little spot, even though it fell off. She still was able to hit her with it. I like that. They then just start fighting through the crowd, going all the way up the stairs. There's a little girl who's like, oh my God, Becky, I love you. And she gives her a high five. And I love seeing that kind of shit because that little girl is going to remember that shit the rest of her life. And like, that this is probably the best day of her fucking life. So I love seeing shit like that. At one point, some random guy hands Becky a big ass chain. I assume she gave that back to him because she walked back down. I also assume that he was probably just a plant and they did that on purpose.
Okay, I have something on that. English commentary said at one point, I believe that was Becky's stylist or something like that. Like whoever that was, there's a relationship there. I want to say commentary said it was her stylist or some shit.
Okay. I'm glad somebody said something because I was like, that's you can't just take their stuff. That was expensive. That's gold. But they go up the stairs and then they start coming back down the stairs. And as they're coming back down the stairs, Tiff's bleeding. And I don't know when during any of this she could have started to bleed. I don't know if maybe they just took the opportunity walking away from the camera to make that happen. But yeah, right next to her right eye, she's bleeding. And we don't often see a woman bleeding. Honestly, the last time I could picture a woman bleeding was Becky and her famous becoming the man. So I don't know if this was maybe an ode to that, because I do feel that Tiffany gained a couple notches in respect after this match. She's been being looked at highly. I feel like backstage they've been giving her some opportunities, and I feel like we're likely to see her moving up to the main roster fairly soon as well. So that, eager to see where we go with her. But finally, they make their way back down to the ringside. Tiffany ends up picking up the steps and just smashing Becky with them. She hits her with the bottom side, which is like the sharp side. And I don't know. You don't do that. You hit them with the other side. It's a little safer. Eventually, they get back inside and Tiffany's just looking for some goodies. She finds a toolbox and begins to just beat down Becky with random tools. First, she has a wrench, then she has a crowbar, and then she gets a chain, wraps it around her hand, punches her, and then she gets a hammer. And then Becky gets the hammer from her, and she's about to hit her. And I was like, you got to be careful because I'm pretty sure your husband got disqualified for using a hammer, Becky, so you should probably know better than that.
Sledgehammer, no less.
But we weren't able to, get a hit from the hammer at this point. Strat slows things down with the big sidewalk slam. Then the crowd's chanting for a table. We just saw a wrench. All right. We don't need to see tables, right? Shut up with that crap, right? Just let it go. We know we're going to get a table eventually. We don't need you to tell the wrestlers how to do what the fuck they're going to do. Just let it fucking happen naturally because it's going to be enjoyable. Eventually we get some strength by Big Tiffy. She catches a crossbody, but just rolls through to pick her up. They had set up a chair in the corner of the turnbuckle and they kept trying to push each other into that. Eventually Tiff eats it and eats a nasty exploder into the corner before Becky goes up top and hits a big shotgun drop kick here as well. Eventually they end up outside and Tiffany just gets stuffed in the shopping cart and Becky just rams the cart into the steel steps. I don't know if that's necessarily going to do a lot of damage. And right here is where the match started to get a little weird for me, because then Becky grabs a bag and I'm like, damn, like Tiff's bleeding and now they're going to let him have thumbtacks. I was like, they're really going all out on this one. But then it was a bag full of Barbies. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cute because Tiffany's supposed to be the Barbie, but I'm pretty sure the crowd booed this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't know if my sound was coming in differently, but pretty sure the crowd booed it. Eventually, after some reverses, we do get like a scorpion death drop by Becky onto the Barbies. And then Becky just starts hitting Tiff with the Barbie. And then Tiff rolls out of the ring and Becky just starts throwing Barbies at her. And then Tiff picks up a trash can lid and is like Captain America blocking all the Barbies from being thrown at her. And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? It was really weird. And then after throwing Barbies that weren't doing anything, Becky just decides to step out of the ring. And Tiffany Stratton just smacks the shit out of her with this trash can lid. It sounded like she hit her so hard. It was fucking great. Eventually though, Becky gains the advantage, stuffs the trash can on Tiff, has her hanging in the ropes, hits the big leg drop. She tries to hit her from the top, but somehow Tiff is able to dodge it, even though she was inside the trash can. Eventually puts the trash can down, counters Becky, and hits a big spine buster, sending Becky through the trash can. And as Becky's down, Tiff takes the time to just start loading the ring with chairs. Just chairs on chairs on chairs on chairs on chairs. They both kind of start fighting, trying to get some moves onto the stack of chairs. Eventually, we get like a butterfly suplex by Becky into an arm bar. They eventually roll out of the ring. You know, and then as they're both outside, we get an exploder into the barricade, which was nice. And then for the big crowd pop that they've finally been asking for, Becky sets up the table. So now, you know, things are getting hyped. The crowd's really into it. Before she can, you know, really get the advantage of setting up that table, Tiff puts her down, and Tiff starts looking for her own goodies at this point. And out of nowhere, when she lifts up the apron, Becky's just sitting underneath the ring with the fire extinguisher and just gets her in the face. It looked like somebody's probably hit the crowd and the people in the first row, so they got to be careful with that. But that was fun. Becky also at one point had a barbed wire bat that she was swinging at her. She caught her one time in the thigh, barely, and then she tried to swing again, and then it slipped out of her hands. I assume it slipped. I don't think she just chucked it like that. But I'm like, man, like, even with the Barbies, it looked like a lot of things that could have accidentally hit the audience. So just be a little safe next time. Eventually, we get some more back and forth. We get a rolling DVD on the outside by Tiffany Stratton. She tries a power bomb. Becky reverses it into a hurricanrana. They're both down, but we get the nice, cartwheel into the back handspring into the back elbow from Tiffany to Becky through the barricade. Sends her down. Eventually, they start fighting by the announce table, and somehow Becky falls off the announce table perfectly into one of the announcer's chair, and Tiffany goes for the big senton. And then I believe she eats the big senton here, and then Tiffany tries to set her up on the table to go for the big swanton, climbs up top and actually hits it to the outside. They cracked the table. They didn't necessarily go all the way through it, but they broke the table. Nice big swanton. She throws her in the ring, hits another swanton, and she kicks out. I don't know why you wouldn't hit your moonsault. That's your move. You're going to win. Should have did that, but didn't work. The crowd's feeling it now. The crowd's chanting, "This is awesome." We get Tiffany now trying to hit her prettiest moonsault ever, but she misses it, and I believe she lands directly face first into the pile of chairs, only for Becky to hit the manhandle slam as well right there. But we only get a 2 count off of that. Somehow we get the kick out there. Becky tries to disarm her, doesn't work. Tiff back on top. She gets the DVD, tries the moonsaults again, and now we actually get the manhandle slam onto the chairs where Becky actually retains, gets the victory. And I heard she actually had to get 11 stitches after this match. Becky did, which I don't remember her getting injured like that.
No, I don't feel like I saw that anywhere. But if anything, I remember her like pointing to her elbow area after the match. So maybe something happened there. I don't know, but despite this being a good match, there were a lot of weird moments. There were good moments and there were weird moments. So one of my favorite moments actually was Tiff bleeding, because like you got Tiff in her like whole Barbie vibe, like this pinkish salmon kind of ring attire with all the pearls and whatnot. And then, she's all super done up and, got the hair down and hair all did. And Then you got her bleeding from her face and her holding a hammer. So you got like this super dolled up girl who's bleeding from the head and wielding a hammer. Like I just loved the picture of that. And just like the juxtaposition of like the crazy pretty girl thing. Love that image. But I will say that there were a lot of like not so great moments in here. Like the barbed wire around that bat was 100% plastic. It looked like fucking plastic. It looked stupid. And honestly, that single moment almost ruined the match for me. It looked so bad and so dumb that I was just like, this is terrible. The moment when Tiff hit Becky with the giant swanton on top of the table and the table barely broke, my reaction was like, wow, that probably really hurt because the table did not give at all. So both of those women ate pretty much the entire full force of that shot. That sucked for them. Another weird moment to go back further into the match, when the crowd was calling for a table and then Tiff said something like, you want me to get a table? I'll go get a table. And then Tiff goes under the ring and nothing happened. They gave us a really, really long replay in that time. So like we had almost like a minute long replay while I don't know what the fuck was happening. While either Tiff like was trying to get a table but couldn't get it out from under the ring. I don't know. There was a weird moment there that kind of bothered me because it just kind of killed the momentum. But overall, like I don't put it on these two women too much, the weird moments, because like I doubt that dumb fucking bat was really their call or anything, or like, you know, I don't know. That was really, really, really bad to me. I thought Tiff like easily walked away with a concussion because that last manhandle slam onto the chairs, like you can visibly see Tiff's head bounce like a fucking basketball off of the chairs as she's going down. And I'm like, wow, that sucked. These two women beat each other's ass. And yes, I 100% like Tiff gained points in my book for this match. Without a doubt, she did go toe to toe with Becky. And I did kind of like what I was saying earlier, how like this goes to Becky's advantage because she's been here before. Like she knows how to go down the crazy road. And I do feel like in the beginning, Tiff thought she did, but was very quickly shown that she didn't. But through the match, as the match went on, she found that within her and was able to like stand up to Becky in that aspect, and then still brought in her usual Tiff stuff, all the acrobatic gymnastic stuff. You know, she hit that beautiful like back handspring in down on the floor to the jumping back elbow through the barricade. I loved that moment. There were a lot of good moments and a lot of weird moments in this match. Again, still a really, really great match. And I don't put the weird moments on these two women at all.
Yeah, was a lot of fun. Definitely should just replace the bat with the kendo stick. Kendo sticks are probably my favorite item because they do hurt. Then they look good. They sound good. They leave a mark. I mean, there's nothing more you could really ask for other than a good kendo stick. That would have been nice as well. And we know that table spot hurt as well, but I just always feel that whenever we don't have the full break, it always diminishes things. But always seeing a good finish on a stack of chairs, that's great. Would have liked to see some thumbtacks. That might have set this over the edge. That itself might have made this match of the night for me just because of how far these women were willing to go. But it was a cute little touch with the Barbies. It just got a little weird for me there.
The Barbies was weird. I probably would have preferred tacks as well. Broken glass, you know, light tubes, anything really. But we know WWE doesn't always like to go down that road. And I'm also not shocked that that they wouldn't have women go down that road. Another kind of chuckle moment I had was when Tiff was under the ring, pulling out all of those chairs, and she stacked up all the chairs kind of in that corner. They had a close up of her getting all of the chairs out from under the ring, and you could tell by the way that the cameraman was reacting, you knew that like you had the producer in his ear being like, yeah, keep her ass out of the shot, keep her ass out of the shot, because like he kept the bottom of the frame like perfectly in line with her low back no matter where she was. She would bend down, she would stand up, and like her ass was always out of the shot. Even if it meant that you had a bunch of junk at the top of the shot, you totally knew that the cameraman was being told, yeah, keep her ass out the shot.
Yeah, they said, oh, we didn't know that's what she was wearing, and we had to, this is a PG broadcast, they said.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know what the rating is going to end up being, but if we include that shot, it sure as shit ain't going to be a PG shot. But yeah, overall, good match. I think we all knew that this was going to happen because they wouldn't have advertised Tegan Nox getting a shot at whatever winner this was on Raw, if it was going to be Tiffany Stratton. At this point, I don't know who's going to dethrone Becky. My gut is probably Kiana James. That's who I feel like it would probably be because they've already kind of baked that a little bit. It ain't going to be Tegan Nox. That girl ain't got the knees for it. I hope it's not Jade Cargill, but maybe they could go that road. But other than that, like, as much as I'm enjoying this transformation of Thea Hale, it ain't gonna be her. Like, I honestly, Kiana is the only one that I think, like, kind of makes sense in the NXT roster right now.
Yeah, like Kiana or I don't know where Lyra Valkyria's been. They kind of have her at the upper echelon. True. I feel like if they really want to push a woman, they need to give that belt to Thea Hale because she could really use that push, right? Especially gain on that momentum of her with the character change. But the only other person I could see as well is Jade Cargill. Usually with the signing, it's a while before they actually are in the system on the program. But I feel like it's Jade Cargill. She could walk in, she could win, and she can win on Raw. And she can start being a star on Raw and just talking and, pretending like this is her show and have Rhea Ripley get mad at her. And that's already, you have a banger storyline to lead into a hyped WrestleMania match or something like that you just tease as, she goes down and whoops ass in NXT and continues, to be up on Raw. And, eventually they get distracted and have their separate feuds. But they eventually make it back to each other.
Yeah, I think the fact that she's showing up as Jade Cargill says everything, because I don't feel like it's super common first off, there's not a ton of like defecting, quote unquote, to the WWE because generally it's considered it is by fact the larger company. That's not, a slight to anybody. It is the larger company. The top paid stars are paid more than any other company. That's also fact. It's not to say that one company is lesser than the other. Those are just straight up facts. So generally speaking, we've seen more people trickle the other way, but when they do come into the WWE, there's usually a name change or a slight name change or anything. I feel like it's fairly rare that somebody comes in and maintains their name without it being something like Cody Rhodes of just, there's legacy there on top of it. So I think she's just going to get the mega push right away. I think it would be kind of silly to throw her down in NXT unless you just immediately give her the belt and that's that. And then does one of these things where half of her defenses are on the main roster shows anyway. I can stomach that. I still wouldn't prefer it. You can't tell me that, you're gonna stick some of these other girls with big time belts, and then you're gonna force Jade Cargill down to NXT. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, not at all whatsoever. They need to shoot her straight to the moon, strap the rocket to her back, whatever people say, because she's a star. So make that money.
Yes, sir. Well, this is an NXT No Mercy 2023. It was a banger show, banger matches. Ilya Dragunov has officially become my favorite wrestler thanks to this show. It was incredible. Take us home, man.
Yes, sir. It was a very fun show. We thank everybody for tuning in once again and allowing us to make your lives just a little bit less miserable. Again, we'll catch you next time for some Monday Night Raw action. Should be a fun show. Will be the go-home episode to Fastlane. So excited to see you all next time. Stay safe.
Deuces.
Peace.